Good evening. Good evening, Mars. Good evening, Sars. Thank you for joining us promptly. Hope we are good. Hope we are having a great weekend. We are not going to waste any time. We're just going to get started. If you're joining for the first time, I want to welcome you especially to the event today, and we're going to get started while others join us, so we don't waste any time. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So if this is your first time of joining us, you are going to be hearing more about us in a moment, and we're going to be talking a little bit about what we do. But spending the time, we all know business hour here. So if you're joining us for the first time, we do this bi-weekly, and this is a knowledge base. A lot of professionals are here, so feel free to network. And there's a lot to learn, there's a lot to unlearn. Um, we do everything concerning vehicles here. Uh, we don't sell cars, but we give updates and information concerning cars and new measures to secure and protect yourself and your vehicle, to maintain your vehicle, and updates with regards Nigeria, the lost cars in Nigeria, Africa, and globally. We come here, we discuss those things, and we just put ourselves up to speed on what is happening. And in recent times, we had webinars that speaks about CNG. We've also discussed webinars on electric vehicles also. We call it EVs for short. And just in case you want to turn off your camera, okay. If you want to turn off your camera, you can use the button on the bottom left of your phone. You'll be able to turn off your camera. So we've also, have different discussions. I spoke about electric vehicles earlier, and we're going to be having more of that. But we have a lot of professionals here. So in case you are yet to join the WhatsApp group, the link will be sent. Just maybe remind us or something, or reply the email sent to you, or just in any way you can reach us, just reach out to us. Let us add you to the group. The group, there are many professionals on the group. Feel free to network, to ask questions. In fact, that group is very active. People ask questions, and there are other professionals available to help you with your vehicle challenges. And even though we advise that you shouldn't the website with having the platform with too much, messages that might not be necessary or advertisements. You don't run an advert, please contact admin first and show them your advert so that it will be something related to the platform. And usually we don't stop you from advertising your business. The only thing we do is we tell you to ensure at least you are adding a value, you are teaching people something, they are learning something from you. Then you can now add at the end that okay, I actually offer this service. So please feel free to take full advantage of the platform. However, we put out a disclaimer. We don't sell anything. We've not sold anything to anybody on that platform, apart from our website, which we'll be talking about in a moment. But we tell everybody to do their due diligence. Just the way you saw the webinar and you joined, is the way others also saw the webinar and they joined. So please ensure you do your due diligence before you pay anybody any money, because you're actually not paying us, you are paying any other professional, okay? And we wouldn't want people to fall into wrong hands. Please do your due diligence before you commit to anybody financially on the platform. Now that we have that out of the way, let us get started. So if you've been following us for the past maybe 1 or 2 months, if I'm not mistaken, we started off this series on vehicle diagnostics, and it has been very very wonderful in that there are always a lot of questions coming up, a lot to learn as always. So today we've done part one, that is vehicle diagnostics. We've done part one. So the thing is how to detect early engine failure, through diagnostics. So diagnostics, we've talked about part one. It was very, very wonderful here. I think that was sometime last month. We've done part two. The videos, the links to the videos of those webinars will be sent to the WhatsApp group, and you'll be able to rewatch in case you missed any of them. And today we are on part three. Today we are on part three. So, okay, we're already 7 minutes in. Today we are on part three of vehicle maintenance. I mean, on our diagnostics series. So we are going to be getting started right away. Let me not take much of our time. This is already 7 minutes in. Without any further ado, how can I join the WhatsApp group? Okay, if you want to join the WhatsApp group, we will send a link on the chat. Just pay attention to the chat. We will send a link. One of our coordinators will post the link on the chat here, and you'll be able to join the group. Okay. So if you want to turn off your camera, you can use the bottom left. There is an icon at the bottom left of your screen. A camera icon. If you click it, your camera should go off, and you know how to unmute your mic. Everybody's mic here is muted already. Okay, thank you, Flames. One of our admins has posted the link to the WhatsApp group. Please, you can use it to join the WhatsApp group. We are not yet there. So one other thing I want to tell us. So after the presentation by our speaker, we are going to be taking in questions and answers or contributions. And if you want to join the queue to ask your question or make your contribution, you can raise up your hand by clicking the three dots at the bottom of your screen. Then you will see one hand icon. If you click the hand icon, your hand will come up like that, and you will join the queue. So please let us take notes, and without any further ado, let me bring up our speaker, the MDC of vehicle use, vehicle checks, engineer in the Ubanjo. Are you there, Malga?
Yes, sir, my brother. How are you, sir?
I'm very well. How are you today, sir?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. I'm good.
I've not had your voice to feel now because of
It
well
is
done, sir.
well. Well done.
Yes, I
Yes.
will. Please go on, sir. Let me mention my mic.
Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. It's nice to have everyone here again, and I know we'll have a wonderful day again. So this is going to be like the last session for this vehicle diagnosis and all of that. So I'm going to kind of go into a fair bit of reason why we do some maintenance, why we maintain some parts, and why we that it well, reason why you should always do some maintenance when they come up, rather than ignoring them, and then reason why the manufacturers recommend that you do those maintenance. So another thing we most of us should understand or remember is the cars that they're making now are not getting any better. So um the cars that you used to know, so maybe the 2007, 2005, 2010. So the cars they're making now is a lot more It's a lot more. Let me just use a normal mechanic language. It's a lot more terrible than what we used to have. Yes, they might be more beautiful now, but everything that is behind the vehicle is pretty much all plastic. So most of you would notice that when you have an accident with maybe a later model car, and you have an accident with a newer model car, you can 100% you can tell because most of it is plastic. And before we used to have a lot of metal. The chassis don't bend any like easily. So you can have an accident and you notice that your chassis is not even bent, might just be all most of the bumper or the plastic around it that breaks and all of that. But right now they're making it more difficult for us to be able to do a lot of things. So they're making it difficult for the last time we I was in a workshop and I saw um one of the vehicles. I think it was a Mercedes. I think the headlight was like $10,000 and it comes in a pair. The bumper is like $30,000. Like they're making those things more expensive because of the extra sensors they put on them, but doesn't necessarily mean that those things break easily as well. You might want to do a radiator and then you're trying to pull the bumper off and it breaks. There's not much you can do about it. So we should understand that when you buy newer cars, they look more beautiful. It is very expensive to fix them. I mean, very, very expensive. Regardless of if you're talking about an EV, when you're talking about a hybrid, the newer hybrids, newer EVs, is not like the Priuses that you used to know. That is cheaper to fix. How much is the battery? Maybe 1 million, 1.5 million. Now you'll be looking at a Tesla battery. Let me tell you, a Tesla battery Model Y, a 2013 Model Y battery is cost $20,000. I know someone right now that wants to sell sell the car, full car for $4,000. And people are not even buying it because the battery costs $20,000. So you have to understand now that if we are moving to the newer vehicles, the newer cars that we're talking about, it's more expensive. Unfortunately, there's not much you can do. So stop killing your mechanic over your vehicle. Oh, you want to buy something, it's too expensive. That's not our fault. Unfortunately, that's how the manufacturers have made it. Now, I will give you some spoiler alerts today, just so that you know that the things are happening in the world. Now, for I know of Hyundai because that's the one that I've heard of, and I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of people that is going to follow Hyundai. The newer Hyundai i30, I think it's i30N, if I'm not mistaken. It's a i30N, so that's the sports version of the i30. Um, for a normal workshop to work on i30N is going to be more difficult now because the rear caliper, if you were to do the rear brakes and you want to do the rear caliper, in order to so if you want to push back and push in the rear caliper, we normally use normal scan tool can usually push it back, but right now they've made it impossible. So you have to subscribe to a software that only the dealer will be able to give to you. So in the nearest future, once those cars start having issues, the only person that can fix it is the dealer. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about it. We are already fighting it, or like Australia is still in a position whereby we can all still fight. We can all still call people and say no, it's impossible. So there's a class action against Hyundai over that. That's you can't restrict it. How many vehicles can your dealership fix? Most of the states only have one dealership. So are you telling me everybody has to wait? No. So now we are trying to fight it. But in other words, there's always a way out. They've already given us that we have to join a particular group. So we call them Azra. So if you join Azra, Azra will be able to give you access to that software, but it costs a lot of money as well. So it is going to cost people two, three, four times the amount that they fix a car normally right now. So Nigeria is all the way backward now. So I don't know if or how we're going to get Hyundais because most of these cars are existing in our system. Let's not lie to us, most of these cars are in Nigeria. So if we look at that, then we start looking at Teslas, then we start looking at even all these BYDs that you see, all the um Aeon, all the Genko, all the Geely, Cherry, all of these cars, they're now most of the ones people buy. This is another major problem that we're going to face. Most of the one people buy, they buy them and bring it to Nigeria, but they are not necessarily meant for the Nigerian system. So if a car is made for China, so what China did last year or 2 years ago, when I was there, they did it this year as well. They've done it this year. So I think it's last year and this year. What they've done is they decided to subsidize every single electric car, hybrid, as long as it's hybrid and electric, or a 2026 car, they decided to subsidize everything. So a car that usually costs maybe say $30,000, it's about 15, it's about $17,000 now. So they're encouraging Chinese people to buy EV, to buy hybrid, to buy a plug-in hybrid or normal hybrid. So the problem is majority of us go to China and people are so a lot of people are selling their cars quick and just go in and pick another one, and then you can actually go in and not pay a dime and pick a car, and then you can go and then you can pay in bits and all of that. So people are buying those cars and bringing it to Nigeria. It will not work in Nigeria. It is a You're going to have problems when it comes to software updates. You're going to have problems um when it comes to like major repairs, because the update that the Nigerian system is going to have, for example, is not going to work on your vehicle. It is not going to work on your vehicle. So you're going to have major problems. So there are vehicles that they've made for export. They did not. So when you see vehicles that cannot be, for example, you cannot change it to English, they are not made for exports. They were made for the Chinese system. So we are going to have major problems working on cars like that, because if those recalls come, but those recalls are not for the system that you're in trouble as well. So that's very important for us to know when you want to go and buy a vehicle from any system, whether it's the Europe, whether it's anywhere. So once you see a vehicle that is subsidized, make sure you tell them that you're actually taking it out of the country. If you did not tell them that, it will be impossible for you to get anything done, because when we that have the software wants to check your vehicle, we would not be able to even tell you, we will not be able to do much, because we'll be like, see, the software they gave us is only restricted to the vehicles that they exported, not for the vehicles that are in their country. We don't live there. So because we don't live there, they don't include it as well. So there are restrictions to all of these things. So please, when you're buying one, make sure it is one that is made for export, not one that is made for a particular local system as well. So pretty much that's just everything around that. And then I noticed that there's some manufacturers that are beginning to start subscription now. So for Camry, I know the 2026 Camry, you have to have subscription for keyless entry, you have to have subscription for maps, you have to have subscription for what else? There's a couple of things that you have to have subscription for. I think it's about almost $120 a year for the whole subscription that you have to have. So vehicles are getting into subscriptions and all of that. But in other words, we have to have a system that the manufacturers can work with. So I think system company power starters like NADDC, or maybe I think there's one for Nigeria Automotive or something like that. Those guys are the ones that are supposed to be in the forefront negotiating with these guys, because we're going to have a lot of problem very soon, because we're bringing these cars without knowing that there are major problems with them, that we don't have access to the software. BYD can tell you, oh, we've got somebody in Nigeria that can do BYD. When we start having major issues, you're going to find out that manufacturers don't really help that much. We have to be able to think, we have to be able to figure out things ourselves too. So, but if they don't give us so much training, there's not much we can do about it. So, we should be expecting things like this too. Another thing that I've noticed as well uh, about the subscription, I think there's a car coming up that the protest is already in motion, saying that you have to have subscription to actually drive the car as well. So in order for you to just drive a car, so you pretty much just buy the car, you buy it just a normal car, but you have to subscribe to drive it as well. So there's a lot of things coming up in the world at the moment. There's a lot of recalls as well. So 2025 Hilux as well. I'm sure that there's a lot of Hiluxes in Nigeria. The 2025 Hilux has a major recall for fire hazard. So it's a build. While they were building it in the factory, they made they made a mistake building. I think it's a drivetrain. Whether it's the transmission or I know there's a major recall for it. For they recalled every single one in Australia, every single one. So that's for Australia that we are able to find out that there's a problem. So for other countries that have not been able to notice this problem, or they've been noticing the problem, but they've not been able to link it to the manufacturer, that's another problem. So, but if the car is already in Nigeria, which I know there's a lot in Nigeria right now, there's a lot of it in Nigeria. I know that a lot of people bought that. So that's another major problem to those people. So that's why I always encourage people to come to the webinar, because I come up with news like this and then let us know. So if it's something you're already facing, at least you know that there's a recall for it, and then we can find a way to get you what they have to do for the recall. So if it's going to be like you have to change the transmission, if it's a transmission recall or the wiring system recall, I can definitely help you buy the wiring system, and then we can send it to you, and then you can just do the whole thing. So if you actually want to do it, so that's another way, or that's another major thing that we've been seeing. Another recall that is out there right now in Australia is Hyundai. Hyundai has recalled over 300,000 cars due to seatbelt anchor. So the seatbelt anchor is doesn't fit. So when people have accidents, it actually the seatbelt pulls out, and now that's a major problem. So they had to recall 300,000 cars because of just that reason. So there's a lot of things happening in the world that Nigeria is all the way backward about. All the Lexuses that are being bought, all the Land Cruisers, those ones to have a major recall, that has to be recalled. The F-150s, every single manufacturer has one recall or the other that they're dealing with as well. So please, before we buy these cars, please let's double check and let's be sure. All right, let's go into what we're talking about today. So I'm going to be talking about the cooling system today. So there's a lot of problems that we face when we do the cooling system. So for example, most people um don't do a radiator flush, or don't replace their radiator coolant, or decide to put water in it. Now, I know water is a better dispenser of heat than the coolant, but the coolant, the additives in the coolant is what makes the coolant easy to use. And there's a lot of components that actually needs those additives to actually work as well. So, um, although once you use water, your car will still run, but you now start having rust every single part where you have aluminium, or maybe where you have steel, or those reactions will come sooner or later. You start having maybe major leaks from hoses, major leaks from metal, brass, and all of that. So that's why we always recommend that you use coolant, because it just won't, rust won't be in the system, and you don't want rust there. So another thing that rust does, that when you use water too much does, is don't forget that your heater core and your evaporator, they're usually always metal. So those things go in and eat up those heater core and the evaporator, and most of the time it's always buried under the dash. Most of the vehicle manufacturers is almost impossible to get to it. You have to pull the dash out. So that's why we always say a coolant of maybe 50 or 30 or 40,000 naira is not going to kill you to start with. Always use it so that you don't get to a position whereby they have to pull your dash out. And we all know what happens. Once they pull your dash out, the car never remains the same again. So it is very, very important. So let me go into some few problems that indicates that you have a blown head gasket. Say, for example, most people, let me see if I can put up some projections for us today so that it's easy for everyone to see what I'm talking about. All right. So let's go into cooling system. So most things that will tell you about a blown head gasket as well. So now your blown head gasket, when you have a blown head gasket, please let me share my screen so you can all see. So please let me know if you can see my screen soon. Can everyone see my screen, please?
Yes, you can see your screen now.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you,
sir.
sir.
I think that's pretty, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, so one thing that we need to understand about head gaskets is that once you have a blown head gasket, it might be very tiny blown. It might just be tiny bit that is blown, right? You will start having major issues. Now, when you do a radiator flush and you notice that your heater doesn't work, this is a major, major problem that most people never ever look for. If you do a radiator flush, your AC will always work, because don't forget your AC uses an external compressor, and it uses gas. And then before you now start talking about, okay, it comes through and then the blow off and works with it, that's fine. So your AC will always work. But the most important thing is that your thermostat has to open. Very, very, very important. Now, if the thermostat doesn't open and close, once it opens, it's letting coolant through. Once it closes, it's telling you we're all good, everything is okay inside there. Now, once it wants to change the coolant again, the thermofan comes on, lets the hot coolant go out of the system and brings cold coolant in to cool the engine down. And then the thermofan then goes off. Now, if you do a coolant flush and your heater doesn't work, then it means you've got bubbles in the system. So it means you have air in the system. Very, very important. You cannot have air in the cooling system. So because you just pull coolant out and put another one in, oh guys, okay, you have gone. No, no. A coolant flush has to be done. So when you look at it, so usually how I do mine is I turn on the AC. The AC will always turn the fan on. No problem. AC works, the fan works. I'm sure that I'm all good. It is not going to overheat. Even if the coolant doesn't get there on time, the fan will always hold it, and I will always cool the engine down. Now, I then turn the heater on, turn it all the way on and high, facing me. So I have to make sure the thermostat opens. If the thermostat opens, it will completely go very hot. Once it goes really, really hot, now I know I have hot air and I have cold perfectly well. In the meantime, the radiator cap has to be off. For some European cars, they are bleeding nipples. So those bleeding nipples are what you use to do that. So let me see if I have something on that I can show. So see, these are just tips, just something for me to show. I didn't come up with a slide today because I had some few issues with my computer lately, so I couldn't come up with a slide. So I'm just going to quickly show you some few things. So it is very, very important that once the heater works, you know that everything is all good. So if you have a vehicle that the heater does not work, before you buy, make sure nobody has pulled out the thermostat. Okay. Someone say they can't see my screen. Ah, that's strange. Is can everybody see my screen, or is just Mr.
It's,
Alhassan?
it's visible.
Okay, okay. Maybe it's your network, sir. Oh, okay. Oh, it's showing now. Okay, cool. Okay. All right. So it is very, very important that once you the thermostat has to be there. Don't let anybody tell you that your thermostat is not important. Most people now, most mechanics tell you, oh, we have to pull the thermostat out once the car comes from another country. The thermostat that we use everywhere is the same. Nobody changes thermostat. Thermostat doesn't work with region. So sometimes the coolant does. So some uh, um um we on the hot region you use anti boil. People in the cold region will use antifreeze. That's the only two different coolant. So as long as you're using the right coolant for the right region, you are perfectly fine. The thermostat does open and close when the cooling system has to change the coolant. Only that's what it does. Yes, it might have other things that it does in addition, but the most important thing it does is just that. Opens when it needs cold coolant and closes when it's happy with what is going on. So it is very, very important you have a thermostat. Once you don't have a thermostat there, what will happen is that most time, your heater will not work because the engine will always be running cold. Because ECU cannot tell when is running hot or cold. Although the system, the your gauge will be able to tell because your gauge uses coolant pressure current temperature sensor. So some system run an extra coolant temperature sensor, some system don't. So it relies on the thermostat to let the ECU know when all of these things are happening. But if you have a separate coolant temperature sensor, that one just tells the your gauge when all of these things are happening and tells the ECU as well. So in systems like that, when you have pulled out that thermostat, what will naturally happen is you will be running that engine 100% cold almost all the time because it is not going to be able to shut the valve off when it is happy. Nothing to shut the valve off. Everything is just easy flow. No problem. Everybody is just working like that. And when your engine is always cold, you would use more fuel to run that car. That's why when you turn on your car, sometimes it warms a little bit, then you drive. If you always run your engine cold when you don't have a thermostat in there, you will use more fuel. Yeah, if you will even blow the head gasket too. That's another major problem that you can have. So now, if we move a little bit further to the radiator, now I've seen most mechanic come up and say we can replace a single core radiator with a double core radiator. For example, it's a waste of money for me That's my own major problem. It is a waste of money. Why do you want to overcool your system? When you have a double core radiator, it cools it twice as much. And most times, double core radiators only come for V8 engines or heavy engines that need you to that needs to be cooled multiple times before it gets in and out. Most four-cylinder engines, even V6 engines, most of them will always come with a single core radiator. So because it comes with a single core radiator, you're supposed to put back a single core radiator. You're just wasting your money. That's number one. Number two, you're reducing the space at which the thermal fan is supposed to be bolted on. It is now going to be too close to the engine and is not going to do what it's supposed to do. So it is very, very important that we do that. That's what I was coming at with this one. So let me see if I have those single correlator. So this is just the thermostat. So we can pull some of the reasons you can have major issues when you don't have a thermostat in your vehicle. So poor fuel economy, increased engine wear, constant cold operation. It will always run cold because there's nothing to tell the engine that yes, we have proper coolant in. Shut it off. I need that hot coolant to run through the engine. Can Mr. Stevens, can you please mute your mic, please? Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So we will have all these problems if you do not have a thermostat in. Like I said, no heater, you will definitely always have this kind of problems. So it is very important. If you don't have one, please go and put one back. Go and put it back, regardless of whatever your mechanic tells you. Always have one there. Now they will tell you, oh, if you leave it there, it will cause overheating. No, you have an air gasket issue already. Doesn't matter whether the thermostat is there or not. You have an head gasket issue. Just fix the problem. And another myth that I get a lot is, oh, my transmission is slipping or my head gasket is born. Oh, don't worry. There's some things we can do. The head gasket will, or the transmission will stop slipping, or we do a transmission service. Once it is slipping, it is gone. There's no point. So you can delay when you want to do the job by just doing few, okay, let me just do transmission flush, just so that it delays this problem. But once it starts sleeping, unfortunately, there's not much you can do. It's already gone. So those are things we need to put into consideration as well. Another thing that is very, very important are coolant temperature, coolant temp sensors. Coolant temp sensor, most of the time, once they have issues, once you see anything on coolant temperature sensor on your scan tool, very, very important. Don't use that to play. You have to work with that. You have to go in and get it fixed straight away, because the ECU will not be able to tell how hot or how cold the system is. And don't forget that the ECU works with the cooling system, it works with the fuel system, it works with every single sensor in the system. So once those sensors are not giving the ECU exact information on what is going on, then you start having issues. Now, if we go away from thermostats, let me see if we can do blown head gasket. Now, if your head gasket is blown, number one, if you have coolant loss, not all the time you would see physical coolant leaking. So if you have coolant, it's physical coolant leaking, your problem is still solvable, because you can actually tell where it's leaking from and quickly fix it. But there are times where you have internal leaks. Now, the internal leaks can equally come from the heater core, which is underneath the dash. So most of the time when you pressure test your system and you cannot find a leak, and you've checked inside the cylinders, you cannot find a leak, please check inside your car. On your footrest, you see where you put your feet when you're driving. Check there. Usually it would, if it's wet there, or maybe you get into your car, you start smelling like coolant is leaking inside your car, or maybe it smells like there's water inside your car, and you've checked everywhere and it's not, you can't find any leaks. That's most likely that's where the leak is coming from. So that's another place to find a coolant leak that might leak all your coolant and then blow your head gasket as well. Because don't forget that you have constantly, once you turn on the heater, you have coolant sitting in the heater core, and then it's just steam that's coming out of your vents to cool inside the car as well. So those coolant that keep sitting there will just be leaking inside your vehicle. So that has to be solved. If you can't find it outside, that's another place to check as well. So most people already know this. You can find, you would have white smoke from the exhaust if you have constant coolant leaking in as well. So sometimes if you have constant fuel leaking in, you can have white smoke as well. So just know, sometimes, so if it's through the injector, some people will have black, but I've seen white smoke come out for injector leaks as well. So as long as you can tell, make sure you're losing coolant. That's what then happens. Sometimes when you open your radiator cap, all the coolant shoots through the roof. That's another sign of head gasket leak. The most common one that people ignore and they don't know is usually the when there's no heater working. Your heater would never work. You definitely have a head gasket blown, 100%. If you have a head gasket blown, there's no thermostat in there and there's air in the system. No, you will not have your heater won't work. So please check your heater. If your heater works, you're all good. It means you have definitely have a thermostat, you have other things, all the things that are supposed to be there are there and they're working. So this this head gasket leak, this is very good. This one I have used. So there's still some head gasket solutions that actually seals the head. So I've used this on a Honda, I've used this on a Mazda BT50, I've used this on a Corolla, I've used this on a Camry. This will seal the head. If the head gasket is blown and the car still starts, if the car still starts, if you put this mixture, 100% it will still it would work. At least you will still get another maybe 1 or 2 years out of that engine if you have something like this. I have something like this in my workshop anyway, so that's the only. And I've tried it in Nigeria and it does work anyway. So I tried it on a Corolla in Nigeria, and I've not used it here a lot of times, and it has worked every single time that I've used it. But the car still has to start. If the car still starts, then we are all good. All right. So this are things about single core, double core radiators. So it's just all of these are just formality. The only thing that makes a difference for me is that it is going to be too big. Now, once it sits in, the fan will be sitting too close to the engine. So stop putting double core when you have a single core. Everything has to be in the exact or the right distance from each other. That's the reason they put a single core there. If they want the double core there, it will come with a double core radiator. Don't put the double core when you have a single core. Some people will tell you it cools down the coolant. Why do you want to cool down the coolant too quick? If the system wants to cool it down in 20 minutes, leave it to cool it down in 20 minutes. There's no point. So for me, it's a waste of money. Nothing other than that, nothing else. Every other thing is just useless. But it's a big waste of money. So, but you definitely always you always have to do a coolant flush. When you replace a radiator, please do a coolant flush. It means get all the bubbles, all the air in the system out before you hand over the vehicle, to the customer. Always do that. Take the extra time. You're not in a rush. If you do it right, you would always have more customers. And I get a lot of backlash when I charge good money for radiator changes. Now, if you come to my workshop and you change a radiator, 100% is 2 hours. I have to charge you for 2 hours of my time, because after I've replaced the radiator, I have to wait for that thermostat to open before I hand over the car to you. So it means I have to physically stay there, run the car for as long as I can until that thermostat opens. That's when I'm like, okay, I'm all good. Close it back. Heater works, AC works. I'm all good. You can go. So labor charge on all of these things are expensive, unfortunately. And customers have to understand that we don't make up all of this. It is exactly what we have to charge for it. I've had to work on vehicles. There's some vehicles that are easy to do, replace the radiator, so no problem. Some of them, it is a nightmare. You have to pull the bumper off, you have to pull the whole front off. For example, Mazda 3, Mazda 6, those cars, BMW. I'd rather do a starter motor on a BMW than do a radiator on a Mazda 3 and 6. I do a starter motor in the middle of the engine. So I mean the 320i's, the 330i's, the X3, all those inline six, the V6. The starter motor is always in the middle. So you are going to have to take the inlet manifold out to get to it. I'd rather do that than do a radiator on a Mazda 3 or a Mazda 6. It is a nightmare to do it. You have to pull the whole front off. You have to pull the whole end light off. So if that is happening on a Mazda 3 and a Mazda 6, imagine if I have to do one on a maybe a 2017 or 2019 BMW, or maybe a Porsche, or even most of the Hondas. It's not an easy job to do. So these are just major or simple things you need to look for when your systems don't work. Once they don't work, you have to understand that these are things you need to check before you know if you have a blown head gasket. So most people sell cars and it's already got a blown head gasket. These are things you know. So if your heater doesn't work, always double check everything. Make sure thermostat is there. They say thermostat is there. Okay, good. Open the cap. If you open the cap, run the car. If there's still bubbles there, the bubbles will come out. And once the water shoots, like keeps bubbling out of the radiator housing, my brother, my sister, run away from that. That car is going to blow an head gasket. But if it is still minor, if it's still a slight crack on the head gasket, what will happen is that it will not shoot through the roof. The only way for you to know in cases like that is try the heater. If the heater works, it doesn't still mean it doesn't have a cracked head. Another thing you're supposed to do is combustion leak down test. If you do a combustion leak down test, which is this, I think I've shown, if for people who have been here before, combustion leak down test. Okay, so this is what it looks like. So this is just a chemical. You put the blue chemical into the reservoir, and then you just seal that and let it sit on your in your radiator housing. You seal it, and then you keep pumping it. Once you pump, it will turn the blue liquid into yellow. So once you start seeing slight yellow, no doubt, no story, head gasket is gone, because it's letting CO2 coming through to the coolant. You should never have CO2 in your coolant. That's the only reason it turns that blue liquid into orange. So that's 100% a gasket gone. So these are the things you're supposed to do when you want to check for head gasket. So other than that's the most professional way to do it anyway. But most people wouldn't have this kit to actually check. So what other thing when it comes to cooling system, radiator? So the newer vehicles now, they are beginning to do. I have seen a BMW, I think it's a 2025 BMW. I'm not 100% sure what engine number it is, what model it is as well. The radiator is inside the inlet manifold. The radiator is inside the inlet manifold. So once you have a radiator leak, the coolant is just going to be leaking inside your exhaust directly inside the cylinders to the exhaust straight away. The radiator is becoming smaller. So they are beginning to put more technology inside the engine bay, reducing the amount of the size of parts. So for example, like the radiator, some people have seen they're starting to make cars where you don't have intercooler anymore. They are beginning to make the intercooler as small as possible. Even the transmission cooler, the cooler lines for the transmission, which sits in the front of radiator, most of the time we're starting to not have that anymore. So they're coming up with things that is ruining the vehicle industry a lot. And please, mechanics, you guys have to get tools. It's not funny out there anymore. You're going to need a lot of tools to do jobs now. Even for the Toyotas that we always think is just a 10, a 12, a 14, and a 17, and a 19. Now they're beginning to make it almost close to what the Chinese and the Europeans are doing now. So this is just a little bit of things that I've got for everyone today. I don't know. Now we can go to questions if we have more questions. And also, like I said, there's a lot of recalls out there. Let me see if I can show you some of those recalls. Okay, so see how much recalls are on. So these are physical recalls that are on some of those vehicles. We have problems major problems. This is 20, all these Chevy Silverados, uh, um, Ford F-150, Ram, those cars have terrible miracles. Look at see. This is worldwide when you're talking about, I mean, recalls. And most of these cars already exist in Nigeria. So then what do we do? So the government is supposed to help us in cases like this. So if they can come up with, like me, I'm happy to share with them what they need to find and who they need to call and how they need to talk to them. I'm happy to share it with them, saying that this is what you're supposed to be doing. You need to talk to these guys. Everybody needs to come to you first. They don't have to go to the citizens first. They have to come to you first. You guys have to tell them, we need access to some of these things. Yes, we will pay for it. We pay for it too. We pay for every single thing, but we need the access. People are willing to pay, but usually we can't get the access anyway. BYD has given one person, the person that is there, maybe, yes, maybe has full access, or maybe has, I'm sure they always have restricted access for Nigeria, always. And that's because we don't know what to ask for. I've approached most of these manufacturers and they're like, why are you asking for more than a normal Nigerian is asking for already? So most Nigerians don't ask for things like that. They always don't ask because they don't know that they're supposed to have access to it. So whatever or whoever wants to know more about what we should be asking for, they can. I'm happy to help. So if we don't have these accesses, we are going to we'll see, we're going to be screwed. It's easy for me because me, I have the access. If you want me to show you on my screen, let me see. Is Azra open? Let me see. So you'll be, so this is for Toyota. So Toyota EV as a whole, they just give us all the guidelines, and they give us all everything that we need to work on one, so that you not come and tell them, see, these are all the gloves I have to buy if I have to work on one. So this is the first layer. I put this on it, second layer, and then this third layer. This, all three of them, you have to wear them to work on one, on an EV. So you see, they give us access to pick and buy them. But I'm sure Toyota will not give this kind of access to Nigeria. Why? It's because we are not asking. So let me look for Azra. Where is Azra? This is BYD. Wait, hold on. Where's Azra? Let me do. Let me bring it up so at least everyone can understand what I mean by those access. No. Where's my Azra portal? Yes, Mr. Toba, just hold on 1 second. Let me just find this system that I'm looking for, and then I can then go back to you, and then we can start up question time. Okay, this is the Toyota dashboard. I don't know why I can't find my Azra system where we have every single thing in one. So we have all the manufacturers in one place. I just need to, which one am I looking for? I need a particular software for this particular guy. I go there, I pay, they give me the access, everything done. So let's go back to question time, and then if anybody has any problem with cooling system, then let's talk about it. So I take our times too much. So I'll let everything go back to Bamidele. Then Bamidele, please, if you have any questions, anybody that has any questions, please put up your hand, and we'll start calling you according to how you put up your hand as well. So please go back to Bamidele, or I don't know if there's
All right.
anybody else.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir, for the insightful session. So it's question time. If anyone has a question, we'll start from Mr. Toba. In case you want to ask any question, you want to type it, you want to write it out, you can write it out as well, and then I'll read it out, and then it will be addressed. But Mr. Toba, you can go on with your question. Yes.
It's a pleasure meeting every one of us on this platform. I'm speaking from Akure. I want to thank the moderator for this opportunity given to us to learn more about automobile. My question is, where are you speaking from, please? Are you in Nigeria with us here or in diaspora? That is my first question. Then number two, concerning the issue of overheating. In Nigeria here, there is a phobia that majority of car owners, they were even the one that were telling you that you should remove the thermostat for them. Even though you are trying to let them know the consequences, they don't want to know. If you tell them to consume fuel, they say it's only fuel, Abi. I'm ready for that. All I want is that I want my car to be 100% cool. I don't want it to get to normal temperature or see closed loop, open loop. They don't want to hear you. So apart from this now, what are the other consequences, bad consequences, apart from fuel consumption? What are the other bad consequences that removing the thermostat can cause? Those are my two questions.
Okay, sir. So I'm speaking from Australia. Actually, I'm in Australia. All right. So number two is I've already touched on the consequences that you face. So it means that your engine normally will wear out quicker because it is always cold. Your engine has to get to maximum operating temperature every single day. And don't forget that the coolant is supposed to cool the engine down, but it's just running through round without cooling anything because the thermostat is not shutting it and is not opening it where it is supposed. So once it shuts it, it lets the engine get hot to a particular stage, whatever degree it needs to get to. Once that happens, the coolants come in and cools down, or the thermostat opens, lets coolant come in. While coolant is coming in, the thermofans are on. And for people who decide to run the thermofan direct, that's another major problem because your engine is always cold because the fan is always working. Engine cannot be always cold. It cannot be. It cannot be always cold because if it keeps being always cold, number one, the engine will wear on time. That's why most cars don't stay as long as it's supposed to be. Outside the country, somebody uses the car for almost 200,000 Ks, no problem. He gets into Nigeria, problem starts because of our maintenance culture. So it wears the engine down, fuel consumption, kills the head gasket as well. That's what usually burns the head gasket because the system is not going to be able to tell if the car is going too hot. So instead of it to warn you, it's always cold. There's not much you can do. So those are the three major ones that I would say, okay, majorly. These are the three major things. So they are just going to be, they might as well just be saving money for a new engine. Those are the three things I think actually make sense for you to tell your customers. That's it. You blow this head gasket, you will wear this engine down quicker than you're supposed to because it's always running hot, always running cold. You don't want your engine to run always cold. So I hope that helps you, sir. If you have any, or if you think, or if you want me to elaborate more on why that happens, then let me know, sir.
I'm okay with that. Let others ask their questions so that you can all benefit from it.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Toba. So the next person is we have Mr. Adelokiki Oluwatosin. You have the floor, sir.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Yes,
can
we
hear
can
you.
hear you.
Yeah, it's still everything that Mr. Benga said concerning thermostats, I think is right. I think based from the country you are speaking from. But in Nigeria, yeah, I want to speak on that thermostat. If you are using a Mercedes-Benz, BMW, I can guarantee you within 5 minutes, the engine will reach the maximum temperature. So why most people prefer removing the thermostat is because thermostat here sometimes they got spoiled sometime. And where your vehicle, when the thing got stuck, it's not opening when it's supposed to open. Where it will happen, it will be where you will not see any mechanic to rectify your problem. So when you look at the costs, where maybe the vehicle start overheating in a place along expressway where it's bushy area, where you can be kidnapped because thermostat is not open. When you look at that, it's prefer let the engine even wear faster. But for this engine, I know, like, although you mentioned V8, V6, which is common with Mercedes and BMW, and some other Volkswagen that are 4-cylinder, they get very hot within 5 minutes in Nigeria, or if you are in the northern part of Nigeria. You don't need to wait for 10 minutes. So why they remove that? Because I have experienced it, thermostats do get stuck, not opening. And if they don't open it now, some of these vehicles, the way they design them, you need special tools to even access that thermostat. So if it happens in a very remote area, the risk and the people that will help you to even change that thermostat when it's not opening. So that is where the way the option, which is better to remove. The second one you mentioned about the radiator, changing it to maybe double core radiator. I will also say, I'm still within Nigeria. I can tell you it's only applicable to vehicles that are new. But when you're doing a vehicle of 20 years, 15 years, we use mostly Tokumbo engine here. So the configuration of that engine cannot match the load or the performance there in Nigeria, where the temperature is very usually high. We have a very dusty road that clogs the radiator. For you to clean your radiator now is very difficult, maybe to go to car wash. So when you have a double core radiator, it contain more coolant. That is why many people prefer to go for that. Not want to go against the OEM certification, but experience of what we have seen is only to that. If you are in foreign country, yes, it's okay. They have good road, they have good weather. The single core radiator can last. Thermostat can last. Here, to even get the right coolant for your vehicle is not that easy. So if you go and put a bad coolant, it's going to cause more problems to the cell, even to the cylinder block. So in Nigeria, I think they will still need a special approach when you are dealing with some of the vehicles we have here. That is my own from the little experience I have on automobiles.
Oh, okay, sir. See, let me know. I cannot emphasize this enough. I have a workshop in Nigeria as well, so I work in Nigeria. So I don't just work here and then come and speak on behalf of this. I work in Nigeria. I have workshops in Nigeria, and we do jobs in Nigeria. Every single time, I would tell you, the thermostat doesn't just pack up just like that. It would have given you a lot of warnings before it before it stops working. So if you keep ignoring those warnings, you're better off just fix it, change it. It has started, change it. Before you start going into major bush and you can't find where to change it. Now, parts is a major problem in Nigeria. Unfortunately, there's not much we can do about that. We can either find people who are willing to solve the problem, like us. We're starting a parts shop where you can get anything and everything. That you would have proper warranty on your parts. You buy them, a break, you bring them back in 1 year. Those are the way things need to be done. Now, when I say thermostat has to come out, thermostat is not your major problem. All it does is open and close. You cannot do without it. It's just like you telling me because you feel that if you're running now, your shoes, because you don't want your shoes to now break, maybe breaks on the way, and you can't find somebody to sew it. That's why you're not wearing shoes. It does help. If you wear shoes and you have good shoes, it will definitely help you. Your shoes will not go bad straight away. It will always give you sign it's already wearing. Once you see all the wears, you don't wear that shoe when you're going out. You wear a better shoe before you go. It is still never okay to pull it out. It doesn't matter what the situation or the condition is of any country. It is still not okay to come out. Now, in the position of you using double core, like I said, it's a waste of money. Why do you want to cool the system when it has to be cooled in 30 minutes or in 15 minutes? There's a reason they made it that long. There's a reason they decided to not cool it straight away. There's a reason they decided to not cool it twice as much. There's a reason for every single thing. And once those precisions are being changed, you will keep having problems with the cars you work on. Stop using double core for double cell radiators for a single cell system. It's a waste of money. You're wasting the customer's money, and you are also weighing the engine quicker. So regardless of whatever condition you have, I'm sure you don't have. Nigeria is not as hot as Dubai. Nigeria is not as hot as Dubai. but these things are being used exactly the same way. There are cars that come from Dubai, they don't pull out the thermostat. It's still there, but those places are hotter and they are even dustier. Where I'm talking to you from, trust me, it is as hot as Nigeria, even hotter most times. And it is dusty too. So I'm not just speaking from maybe Canada where, oh, it's very cold, or maybe Russia where it's very cold. No, I'm speaking for a place where it's relatively the same weather condition as Nigeria. Unless you're bringing cars that are specifically made for a particular reason. So maybe those are the cars you are bringing in. Maybe. So I will not physically tell you that you are wrong. If it works for you, that's it. But as a mechanic, and as the system will tell you, and as the manufacturer will tell you, don't pull it out. So, but if you think it works, it's up to you. But I'm telling you the consequences of what it is. So if people prefer to go and buy engine, unfortunately, that's fine. Then there's no need to even complain about it. If they want it out, let them take it out. That's fine. But this is what is going to happen to your system. That's all we are here to say. So I hope that answers your question. I'm not saying, oh, you are terrible for pulling it out. Unfortunately, it is what you have to do. But it is not because Nigeria is hot, and it is not because Nigeria is dusty, and it is not because Nigeria has a bad road. That is why you're pulling it out. Because there are countries who have the same exact conditions as Nigeria, and they don't pull it off. Then what happens then? So, Mr. Adelo Kiki, I hope you understand where I'm speaking from.
Yeah, I got your points, and you're able to mention the reason for that remain with that single core radiator and then not removing thermostat. But there is something I also said earlier about some particular cars, like the Volkswagen, the Mercedes, and the BM. I want to be specific about those one. I'm saying without thermostats, when you start those vehicles, within 5 minutes, they get to their maximum operating temperature.
How do you know it? How do you know the car is at a maximum operating temperature?
Yeah, you check the temperature gauge.
So what do you think? What do you think the maximum operating temperature on the gauge is? So where do you think it's supposed to stand at when it's a maximum operating temperature?
There's what they call this adiabatic engine, the heat engine like this. Most of these German engine, the heat engine, they need to be at high temperature. From run at 110, 100.
Right.
So see, there's almost, if you're just looking at gauge.
Okay, hold on. I'm coming.
Okay, sir.
There's something they call pressurized cooling system. To us, we believe that water boils at 100 degrees Celsius, but because it's pressurized, it boils at higher temperature than 100. That's the area I'm going. It's not going to boil at 100 degrees. So it's a pressurized cooling system. So they make it to be heat so that fuel will burn completely, almost completely. So I'm speaking about this German. So another thing I also pointed out is that the years of those engine matter. In Nigeria, we are not using new vehicle. If you buy a new vehicle, you don't need to change your radiator to double core. You can't even leave the thermostat there because it's still new. But many of us, I'm sure, if not 80% of us are using more than 15 or 10 years old vehicle. That is where the problem is. But for new vehicle, you don't need to remove your thermostat or
even the older vehicles. The older vehicles are the one you're not supposed to remove it. The new ones you can, because there's not a lot of metal on them. Most of them are plastic. So it's easy for you to even not have that.
I agree with you.
One is even worse. So even for No, sir. You can keep, if you have more to say, let me just let you speak so that it makes it easier.
When I speak it, when I mention that 110, some people from the point I'm speaking from, that a pressurized cooling system, the temperature at some of these engines is over 100 because of how they are designed. But in Nigeria, if you go to most of the transport companies that are using Toyota Hiace, I'm not sure after 2 years you will not see thermostat on that engine because of what they have experienced on the road. If that thermostat got stuck, one of those things that cause that thermostat to stop is because when you are using only water, like you said, it will become rust, and sometimes it will impede that thing from opening. So everything that's supposed to make the system work fine is not just tap water you are going to put inside that cooling system like that for long. It's going to react with the material of the engine and the cylinder head. So if you are using coolants that's recommended, you may keep your thermostat there for a long time before you can replace it. But we're using ordinary water. So it just boils down to the experience people have had. What is the best solution for where we find ourselves today in this country? That is why a lot of transport companies now that are using this Toyota Hiace, you hardly see anyone with a thermostat on their vehicle because of what happened on the road.
So
imagine a thermostat got
so you agree with us? So sorry. You agree with us that with the BMW as well, if you use coolant all the time or when you're supposed to use it, you don't have to pull out the thermostat.
Yes, I agree.
So,
but getting
because
that
you are
right
deciding
coolant
to not
is it's a very complex matter here. Some of us you are dealing with people who have 3 or 4 cars, but somebody who just 2 cars, and the way you don't want to lose them, they just need something to keep their vehicle running. By the time you are beginning to be specific, though at the long run they may believe you, but there is a way the workshop runs in Nigeria. People want things that will keep their vehicle longer on the road than
but
maybe
these
you
are the
are you
things that
want
are
to
going
say.
to keep your vehicles. These are the things that will keep your vehicles longer. What you guys are doing is going to make the life shorter. That's where the argument is. You can continue, sir. So it's just so that you'll be speaking to exactly what we're talking about. So these things we are telling you is what makes the life longer. What you're
Right.
saying is what
All
makes
right.
the life short. So what do we do then?
That's right.
Oh, okay. So I'm not here to say I'm imposing something on you. I'm only saying that these are the things that you need to do to keep your engine running longer. So whether it is Mercedes, whether it is Toyota, it doesn't really matter. What has to happen, the system is exactly going to run the same way. It's just like you saying that, oh, because you live in Nigeria, you breathe a different, your your organs are different from people who live outside Nigeria. No, it's the same thing. Yes, you might need to be, some places might be colder. Yes, if you live there, you will adjust to it. So we just have to do it right. That's all we are here saying, that these are the right ways to do it. You want to do it the other way around, unfortunately, it's fine. But these are the consequences of you doing it that way. So we and you both agree that if you pull all of these things out and you use the coolant that you're supposed to use. If you have 5 cars, if you cannot afford to maintain 5 cars, why do you have 5 cars then? So let's let the next person speak anyway, so we don't take too long.
All right. Thank you very much for that. Thank you for the question, Mr. Tosin. The next person we have is Mr. Abiodun. Mr. Abiodun, you have the floor, sir. Hello, Mr. Abiodun, you can speak now.
Mr.
Okay.
Abiodun Adams. Okay, let's call his full name. Mr. Abiodun Adams. Can you hear us? No, I don't think so. Let's go to the next person.
I'm with
Okay.
you. I'm trying to open on the mic.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm with you. Yeah, yeah. Well done, House. I really enjoyed your topic based on the cooling system. Just like what this our last brother said. Cars. You see, when we are dealing with cars in the foreign country and in Nigeria, you understand, our weather is different. Most of their cars, they design it based on their weather there. But there's what I'm trying to ask a question here now because based on what the host said that even in Dubai they don't change they use single cell. It somehow confused me. I've never even make a research to that level or even ask anybody that stays in Dubai that how do they what kind of radiator do they use? Because I normally advise my customers to that it's good to change your radiators to double cell for it to contain more water, to contain more water. Yeah. So to me, I still support that that it's good to change the radiator to double cell. But in terms of thermostat, even the thermostat is not all cars that you can remove the thermostat. Like like just like you mentioned, the BM, the Mercedes, without the thermostat, some of them will not even start. It will indicate to you that if you have the thermostat is not there. So if I don't know if I can ask a question outside the cooling system.
Yes, you can. You can. We're just talking
Okay,
about cooling system, so you can.
okay, so I have a Mercedes Benz which is giving me some kind of a tough time. Though they're taking it to a workshop before, the customer said they are taking it to a workshop before, that it vibrates when it's on idle or when you engage the drive or when you put on AC, it's somehow like it vibrate like a firing vibration like that. And we have changed that. They have changed the for a pump and they have changed the they have changed it for a pump and they have changed the plugs and some coils still is still the same thing. So after we diagnose, the report the diagnose is giving us is let me just open my gallery and see what I started. The diagnose is saying yes, it's saying the pressure in the fuel pressure circuit is too low. No signal change. Voltage level is too low. So I don't know if everybody have an idea of.
So are you on the WhatsApp group?
I'm not on the WhatsApp group, sir.
Okay, so
Yeah,
please
I'm on the
join the
WhatsApp group. I'm on your WhatsApp group because that
Okay,
is why. Okay, sorry, WhatsApp group. No, I don't think so.
oh, okay. So maybe what we'll do is join the WhatsApp group, post the code that you're getting.
Cool.
I'm sure that like 4 or 5 people would probably answer you. And see, in answering that is when when I have vibration on idle, I'm not very rare that I'm looking for anything that has to do with the system. What I usually think or check first usually is the engine mount, because the car is not on, doesn't have, there's no load on the car precisely. So if you were driving now, okay, well, or if you're driving, how does it still vibrate while you're driving?
No, it's smooth.
Yeah, so because that's why, because there's more power to the pump, or there's more power to the there's more pressure coming, the engine is working a lot harder, so you won't feel that vibration. It's only at idle. So couple of things: since you've done the fuel pump and it's telling you the pressure is low and there's a circuit problem, so go and check the wiring system. Either when they were putting it off, they put the wrong pump in, feeling that, oh, that's the right thing to do. You understand? Every pump is in different pressure. For example, Mercedes, they always measure all of those things. You have to be sure that you have the parts in the right car. So another thing you can do is, I think if you can Google parts code, PARTSOUQ, parts code. If you put the VIN of the Mercedes there, you'll be able to see every single part, and you'll be able to find the pump, and then you'll be so usually we don't put the right parts in the right car. Usually that's what comes up. So I won't even be going to the engine mount first. The car is already complaining about a particular problem. So why don't you fix that problem first before you start moving into other things? Yes, whether it's related or not, most manufacturers, they are crazy. You will never be able to tell most times if they are related or not. Some, like 80% of the time we can tell, but 20% of the time when you can't tell, it's better you fix the problem and then you can now move ahead. But usually when I see problems like that, it's usually just the engine mount, because once there's clearance there, you would have that vibration when it's static. So, but you already have a few circuit problem, go and check that. But I doubt if that will cause that vibration. I doubt it very well. But just double check that first.
It's not parts scope. SCOP.
So PARTSOUQ, parts code.
Is it in a one word or
Yes, one word, parts code, one word. One word, everything is one word. I'll put it on the chat so you can just click it from there, and then you can put the VIN there, and it would decode the VIN, and you'll be able to see all of those things. But still, your single core, double core, your single core doesn't hold more coolant. That's another thing you need to remember. It doesn't hold more coolant. It's still the exact coolant that the single core holds. That's what double core will hold. It doesn't hold extra coolant. It's not bigger. It's just that it has an extra core in the front, just to cool down the coolant quicker. So regardless of whatever region you are at, you should be able to drive any car with the exact way they've made those cars. So the only thing that I think changes is the type of coolant you use. There's antifreeze, there's anti-boil. So it's the coolant that you use that changes, not the parts. The parts are the same. The parts are going to work exactly the same way. So I still recommend, it's a recommendation that you don't change it for each other. It's not needed. It's not that important. If it were to be that important, I guarantee you the people who made the car will put double core from the onset, unless you have modified your engine. If you have modified your engine and you race with it or all of those things, and you put it too much on more pressure than it's supposed to usually be, then maybe you can think of the little things like that. But it's a modification. But if you've not modified your engine, even if you sit in a hold-up for 4 years, as long as the system works exactly as it's supposed to work, everything should be fine, unless you have bigger problems.
Okay, but
And
there
your
are other things. There are other things we change on cars if they are out of if they are in Nigeria, like the tires. We don't normally use the same tires we use in foreign countries.
No, it's the same tire we use now. Why do you think we don't use the same tires? It's that same tire we use now. Exact same tires. Yes, we can go to China and make cheaper tires, but still the exact same tire.
No, like in size, like in size. We believe that
It's the,
we don't
the
have good road like them. Most
no
of
no
our road.
no no the same size. See, the size of a tire is exactly this what the manufacturer, if it's 18. So I'm sure you guys have 235, 45, 18 in Nigeria. You have maybe 195, 65, 15. You have 195, 60, 16. Those are the same tires we use. It's not different. It's the exact same tire. But yes, the quality might be different too, but which doesn't cost anything. Is us that is making the cheaper tires. It's the same tire. There's nothing that is different. Me, I'm on both sides. I have a workshop in Nigeria. I have a workshop here. So I'm on both sides. So when I'm speaking, most of the time I understand what I'm saying because I do work on both sides and I have a clue. I'm not that guy that stays abroad that don't come to Nigeria to do anything and then wants to explain that. No, I work in Nigeria as well. I have customers that I work for, and I do the cars exact same way I'm telling you now, and I don't have any problems.
I know this. If I should ask you this question now, that will maybe may divert us from our topic. Now, how are you able to manage both your shop in Nigeria and in diaspora? So maybe you don't
Well,
know.
I have people there in Nigeria now that I've trained that works for me and they understand what my I have a rule. I have rules that we don't use used parts, for example. I don't use used parts. I don't care what you want to tell me. If it's not brand new, I don't put it because you're just going to make me do the car, do the job more than once. I don't like doing that. I don't want you to come back to my workshop unless you have other problems, new problems other than what I've fixed before. And my own rule is if I fixed it before and you have a problem, you come back, I will fix it for free.
Mm.
That's one of my rules. So I don't use used parts. You will not go and bring plug from a pool and come and give me. No, I will not take it. So those are the rules that I have that actually helps my workshop in Nigeria. Most times I'm always in Nigeria too. So all good.
And that's you
So
have
join
your
the WhatsApp chat if you want to have other
yeah.
things
How
there
will
with
I
you.
join the WhatsApp? How will I join the WhatsApp?
So it's if you check the message on this group, you on this webinar, you see the I think someone has posted it. If they
Yeah,
can
the
post it,
link is on the chat.
the link is on
Just
the what chat.
click on the
All right, please go on.
what's in there, you see it there.
Okay, I'll send it. Yes, I'll send it.
All right.
All right, so you can just join the group from there. You can ask whatever questions you want to ask, but keep it is a kind of moderated group. Keep it casual, and everything that is going on in the group is also being checked.
All right, thank
All right.
you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abiodun. So next we have Mr. Ibi Farmer. I don't know if I pronounced that name well, but before I go into that, we'll quickly read the chat and the question that is there because you dropped the chat there. So you mentioned that my thermostat works properly, but I notice my coolant level reduces each time I use my air conditioner. If I don't use my AC, the coolant level doesn't reduce. You mentioned Toyota Corolla 2024. So Mr. Ibifan, you have the floor. You can probably elaborate on that question, or you can also add as well. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I dropped that message because it's what I noticed in the car. If I use the AC, at the end of the day, when I'm going, I do like sometimes above 50 miles in a day. By the time I come back home, the following morning, I always check my car every day. The coolant will drop. But if I don't use the AC at all, I run the whole day, and by the time I get back home, the coolant level remains the same. I think that's what I want to ask for the question. Then, sorry, if you permit me, I want to throw more light on that coolant temperature something and the thermostat. Can I go ahead?
Yeah, you can. You can.
Okay. I know people are asking some questions, and I've been driving since 1996. What I want to say is, these cars we drive, when you look at the cars, they have manuals, they have instructions and this thing. I'm trying to enlighten a bit for everybody. Radiator, when the car comes, either as brand new or Tokumbo, most times Tokumbo when they come with the original coolant of the car. It is we in Nigeria that will change it to water. Now, when you change this coolant to water, water has acidity. The pH level of the water you put today and the one you put tomorrow, they are not the same. That causes corrosion inside this thing. My Corolla is an old Corolla, 2004. As I'm talking to you till today, the thermostat is working. If I start my car from the house, I can go like 2 miles before the fan comes up, the thermostat will peak and trigger the fan to come on if I'm not using my AC. So most of these things, there are specific instructions that we ignore. Now, why are you putting a double cell radiator when the car comes with single cell? If everything is working properly, you don't need a double cell. It's the single cell which the car came with. Dubai is very hot, but these same cars work with the same single cell in at Dubai and other hot regions. So we should always try to do or to use specified things for the cars that we use. Is when we that initially I was saying thermostat, they say, oh, thermostat, once a car comes, they remove the thermostat because it causes overheating. I say, how? Not until I got this Corolla, and I was lucky that the thermostat was working. The only time I experienced overheating, I think I caused it myself. The coolant level, they have maximum and minimum. I over Nigerian mentality, I overfilled it. I filled that plastic container, not the radiator itself, because you put water in the plastic container. I filled it to the brim. And before I could, in fact, I don't know how many miles I had gone. And what I saw was my temperature was going up. And I knew that, Organa, you find trouble by yourself. I just parked the car, let it cool, and I opened the radiator, it popped out. And I allowed it to calm down. I closed it back and I drove. After keeping the car for like 2 hours, the level came back again and I saw where the thing was and I topped it. And since then, instead of me to even put it to the mark, I even keep it below so that it doesn't happen again. So that's my little contribution, but I will really need an explanation on that AC and the coolant level something. Thank you.
All right, sir. So there's not much to say, so I won't take time now. So good. You have said it well. Everything that you keep it the same and you won't have any problems. So see with this, your AC and the coolant level, I don't think I don't think there's any correlations between it. Now, what you need to understand is sometimes the engine retains a little bit of coolant as well. Now, do you check if it's a Corolla? I think you should have an overflow tank and a radiator cap. So you should have both of them. I think I think I should be right if it's a Corolla. You should have an overflow tank and then you should now have a radiator cap. Now, once you see that the overflow tank doesn't is a little bit down, sometimes the engine keeps a little bit of coolant. It's not all the time it spits out all the coolant to go back into the reservoir. Now, when you have excess coolant in the engine, that's when the reservoir gets filled. And once you want to change over coolant, most of the time it sucks some from that overflow tank and sends it inside the engine. Pretty much, that's how most of these things in a layman language. That's how it works. It shouldn't be more than that. So if you put it to the maximum level, when you overfill it, what happens is that when it has excess coolant, where is it going to dump it? It is the overflow tank, but you have overfilled the overflow tank. How is it going to dump it there? So that's why I think you had that overheating. So keep it at the maximum
No,
level.
no, that one I know it. I know I did it. I caused it myself.
Yes. So that's pretty much how it works. So it takes it from there and it's like, okay, good. I have too much coolant. I have to dump it somewhere. It goes to the overflow tank. It doesn't stay in the radiator because the radiator doesn't keep a lot of coolant as well. So it uses what it needs, it takes what it needs, and it uses what it needs, and problem solved. So what you just need to do with this one is, I think your coolant is leaking from somewhere. Go and get a coolant pressure test system. Tell somebody to pressure test it. I'm sure if you join the group, somebody will have it. Are you in Abuja or you're in Lagos, sir?
I'm in Port Harcourt.
Port Harcourt. Okay. I'm not sure we know any mechanic in Port Harcourt. So, or if you see any major standard workshop that has a coolant pressure tester kit, they pressure test the cooling, the radiator, just to find out if any water is leaking. Water is leaking from somewhere. That's why you're losing coolant. But if you're looking at the overflow tank, that's why you think your coolant is low. Majority of the time, it does leave a little bit of coolant in the car, because you don't forget, when you turn on your car, there has to be a little bit of water to before the water pump comes on. So it keeps a little bit of water as well. So I think you're fine, but get a coolant pressure test just to be 100%, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right, sir.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Bifama, for that. The next person we have here now is car diagnostics reports. Car diagnostics reports. You can take the floor.
Good evening, Mr. Benga, Mr. Bamidele. I appreciate you guys for all your efforts.
Yes, yes, sir.
We are doing very well in this platform.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, little contribution, and then my question will be on this the head gasket test.
Yeah.
That's the combustion leak down test you mentioned.
Yes, sir.
I really want you to throw more light for me. Before you do that, there is a lot of there are a lot of cars as can in Nigeria. It's usually P0128, which is thermostat.
Okay.
My car is also a victim of that. I told my children, I said, look, guy, get my thermostat. I want to fix it back and remove this fan from direct, which of course I'm going to do within the next few days because I've been busy elsewhere. You know, the lecture is quite educative and informative, and it's rich. If you follow the specification, our cars will last very long. Then, Mr. Benga, there is this 2.4 Camry with this 12Z, one RZ engine. That most of them they complain of oil shortage. What can we do to fix that problem? These are your questions.
So the oil shortage, do they smell oil when they are inside the car, or do they have black smoke coming out of the exhaust, or do they have a physical oil leak?
None of them.
None of them. So if not, it has to be one. It cannot be three of them cannot be wrong. One of them has to be right. Because if it is not a physical leak, it means all the valve cover, gasket, everything is fine. If it is not, if they cannot smell it inside the car, it means we don't have it. We don't have it leaking into the inlet manifold. But we can also, if it is leaking into the exhaust, you would smell it inside the car as well.
Yes.
So most likely, engine is gone. So it's leaking through the valves. So the piston rings. So once it goes in and out, once the ring is bad, it will just, once it goes up, the car will still have a little bit of oil. It will just keep dumping it into the exhaust. And before, if it is a tiny leak, it will burn before, while combustion is happening.
Yes.
So most likely, engine is on its way out.
Okay.
So there are additives you can use, or use a thicker oil.
Okay.
That's another remedy that might help the oil to last a little bit longer. So if you use a 530, change it to 1030 and see how long the oil lasts within the normal time that you have it.
Okay.
That's the best way to do all of this.
Okay.
So the combustion leak down test. Malga, you're in Abuja now, right?
Yes.
Okay, go to the office now. Tell the manager to show you the combustion leak down test. So he will show you the combustion leak down test kit. Then he will show you how to use it.
Okay.
So it's easier for me to explain to you while the car is there. So if you go to the office, they'll bring the kit out. We definitely have one there. I'm
Okay.
sure we have one there because I think I brought it last time when I came through. So we definitely have one there. Go there and then we'll sort it out when you get there, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much, sir. So the next person we have here is Olusegun Adelowo. But just before that, then I'll quickly read a question on the chat from Mr. Ishaya Alazan. So he mentioned, he's asked that, talking about not changing single core to double core radiator, and also mentioning that some cars are not built for Nigeria's climate. Means if we buy cars that are not, I will just assume that's built for this climate, then obviously there will be a need to increase the coolant quantity to cater for Nigerian climatic conditions. My car came with extra room to install a bigger radiator. Means the manufacturer had me in mind when he built the car. Please explain further.
There's nothing like extra room now. If there's room there, there's room there for a reason. It's for people like us when we want to work on your engine for us to be able to go through. There's no car that is made for when I mean there are some cars made for specific regions is because the when I mean the electronics are made for those regions. So you will not be able to say, for example, maps. You'll not be able to use most of the maps in Nigeria. Most of the cars in Nigeria, you cannot use the maps because those maps, those cars are not made. So those head units, if you replace it with a proper head unit that is made for international, 100% you'll be able to use it. So most likely, don't buy cars that are made for just that region. Buy cars that are made for export. Every single manufacturer makes car for that you can export, the ones you can use in their system because they have to make things cheaper for their own citizens. So because they have to make things cheaper, they make it a lot nicer for their citizens and make it cheaper. But the downside is you cannot export that car. You should not export it. But either ways, people still export it and bring it down here. So there's no extra room for modification. Yes, you can modify it to nobody's saying don't, but we're just saying that it's a waste of money. If it is exactly same way that they brought it, please just keep it that way. So that's it. That's what I mean by there's cars are made from regions, not that a car could be driven in any region. The car that they made for that region and the car that they made for export is exact same car. It is not different. It's the exact same car. It's just some features that they've decided to put in two of them is a bit different because it has to meet the criteria of the country. So each country has what they want to come into Nigeria, into their system. So you cannot bring a particular car. So for example, a V12 engine cannot come to Australia. They will not do. There are some V8 engine modified that they will not allow in. There are some cars that once you say you want to import, they'll just tell you no, it doesn't meet the carbon threshold of, because they do it before the manufacturer brings it. Every vehicle has to bring one. You bring one to Australia, they test every single. So there's a long list. They test everything. If it meets the standard, there you can bring the cars in. So that's why I was saying that okay, some cars cannot be used here, cars can be used. So that's it. It's only the electronics that change anyway. So that's pretty much it on that. So let's go ahead to Mr. Olusegun Adelowo.
Okay, so thank you very much, Mr. Pinga Banjo, for that insightful section. Okay, I hope you are hearing me. Let me
yes, I can hear you, sir.
Okay, all right. All right. Okay, so I've been driving cars since 2017. Okay, so I can call myself a new driver compared to number of experienced drivers and people on the call. Okay, so I know quite a number of us, the problem we have is that some of us were actually ignorant of some of this. I've learned a lot today anyway. So we are quite ignorant of some of this, and the mechanics act on our ignorance. So if I tell you, I can tell you for free that up to now, I don't even know what a thermostat is. I don't know whether the car I'm driving still has thermostat, or in my absence, mechanic has removed it. Once the car is moving, everything is fine. I just drive and go my way. Okay, so my question is actually that I know that I've had a lot of people that remove the thermostat because of temperature, this and that. But actually, this section is actually an eye opener for me. Okay, so possibly the car I'm driving currently, possibly it doesn't have thermostat because of the ignorance. Okay, so but I know that subsequently, if I have to get another car, I know what to check out for and what to retain. Okay, so but my question actually is that if you buy a car and it had its thermostat, okay, so you mentioned that mostly water is not recommended because you wait out the engine, and you should use coolant. So again, just as the ignorant person, I remember there was a time I was driving a Toyota Tundra. Okay, so it was doing overheating. So my mechanic said that I should pour a coolant first and see whether the overheating will stop. Okay, so it actually reduced the overheating, but my question actually is that is it this regular coolant that we buy from the roadside part sellers that you're talking about, or it's a special type of coolant? Then also, if you have to do away with water, I see that you don't even pour water in the radiator at all. There's a particular place in the, what do you call it, in your car where you pour coolant. I mean, for the cars that still have the thermostat working properly. So is it that you have a particular place you pour the coolant? Then what are the type of coolant you're talking about? Is it these regular ones? Then is it also a good thing for you to, those regular coolant you buy from the roadside, to pour in the radiator that already has water? So I don't know whether my question is clear or it's a bit confused.
It's clear. It's clear. I understand what you're trying to say, sir. So the coolant that I mean are the same ones they sell. But yes, now whether it's now the original thing or it's the fake thing, that one I cannot 100% tell you if it's original or it's fake. So I don't know. Most people sell fake anyway, so that's why most of these problems we have still occurs. Now, you can, for us, you can top up your coolant. Now, there's something we call a coolant strip. So that strip, your coolant can't be watered down that much. So there are intervals for you to replace the coolant anyway. So for your coolant, you have to replace it. Some manufacturer will say every 80,000, some will say every 60, some will say every 40, depending on the vehicle that you're driving. That is what determines when you replace your coolant. So once you replace the coolant, you can top up with water, but the coolant has to be in the right. So we measure it through a strip. So even by looking at it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not being watered down already. So once it waters down to a particular stage and you put that strip, it will tell you when to change it, or you follow the manufacturer's specification on when to change it. So you top it up. You can top it up with water, but most likely it's almost rare that you have to top it up all the time. Yes, you might not top it up in a year. You might top it up maybe every year or something like that. Just top up, little top ups and all of that. So you can top up with water. So other than that, it's the kind of coolant that they sell that usually now matters if the coolant is going to be good or not. So until we have a system that measures and make sure that what people bring in is the right thing for our vehicles, unfortunately, there's not much we can do. The coolant in Nigeria is not good. Sincerely, to say the truth, even the brake fluids are bad already. Before you put them in, they are already bad. So the acidity of the brake fluid is already high. So I did a brake fluid test on all the brake fluid that I could buy, most of the ones I could buy, every single one is very high. So most of the time, I always have to import most of the, like I have coolants. Sometimes I have coolants. I import them. They sit there. Once my customers come through, I use it. But the problem is, it's more expensive. And then the brake fluid too. All of those parts. But unfortunately, there's not much we can do about it. So you can top up with water, and it is exactly coolant that you buy on the road or at the shops. That's the coolant I'm talking about. So I hope I've answered your question, sir.
Yes, very well, sir. But where do we pour the coolant? Is it the same place we
So
pour the
you
water?
yes, see, there's two places you can pour your coolant. If it's a Toyota, you have the overflow tank and you have the radiator, the actual radiator tank. Sometimes you don't have a radiator tank, you only have overflow tank. You see coolant, you see that. I know Toyota is usually red or pink, whatever you want to call it. So that's where you put it. And then there's wiper, wiper fluid reservoir. That one too, you pour water into it. So it's maybe another time I'll just show around. If you join the WhatsApp, maybe if you tell us the car you drive, I can then do a screenshot and send it to you and show you where you have to put your coolant.
All right, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. All right, sir. All right. I think Doc. Oh, you are putting it up here. Okay, Dr. Olufemi Onifadesa. You can go ahead, sir.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Thank you very much for the session. It was enlightening and informative.
Thank you,
I
sir.
appreciate it. So, I was one who raised the question on the gear of my Kia Rio 2014 in our last session, and you recommended that the car should get scanned before I make any decision on it. So, I tried to get the center to scan it. They tried to scan it in around my residence here, but they couldn't get any error on it. So all of them just said there's no error on it. So I decided to take it to the care office for them to help me take a decision. So when I got there, their technical advisor, I saw him and I told him to come and talk. And he said the best option for me is not to fix the because he said the issue has already affected the power body. So he said, and it's not advisable to repair it, that I should just look for a replacement, a complete replacement of the gear. So and I also and he also told me that if I want to repair it, if I want to change it at their center there, that it will be very expensive. So he told me to that I can go and change it elsewhere. That was what he told me. So, and
Do you
number two,
Yeah, okay. Go ahead, sir.
I, when I did the servicing the last time, I told them to help me check for where the leaks, oil leaks are coming from under the vehicle, and they saw that the the oil outlets, some of them are not good. They have to help me tighten it, and they said something is okay and good to go. But I still check underneath, and I still see some oil leaks, little bit of oil leaks, and I'm surprised that I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know, but they've helped me fix every other thing that could lead to the oil leaks. So that's my question. Thank you very much.
Okay, sir. So yeah, when Kia checked, what was the code they told you? Or you cannot just tell me to go and replace my transmission without actually telling me. So it has affected the valve body, but you drove it there, right?
Yes, sir.
Uh-huh. So what has affected the valve body? Which one are we having issues with? So they have to give you like a proper information. Did you pay for the service?
No, it said there's no need to scan it.
What do you mean there's no need to scan it? That's why you're there now. He just told you he has affected the valve body without scanning it. How did he know he has affected the valve body?
Yeah, because he tried to drive it and he
Doesn't matter
saw
now. If you can try to drive anything and it will not go, doesn't matter. It could be anything.
how the something gets into reverse and delays also to engage. So
Yeah, I know. It could be anything. It might not be the yes, most likely it might be the valve body, but they should have checked and giving you the code and say, okay, good, this is exactly what it is that you're looking at. Then they now tell you, okay, so usually the valve body here, but I don't recommend you pay it. You can put another one in. So I will still recommend that you go see somebody has to be like you're in Lagos, sir. All right.
yes, I am, sir.
So get in contact. You're on the WhatsApp group, right?
Yes, I'm on the group on the
Yeah,
platform.
check for GNII and go to his workshop.
Okay, the
GNII,
Facebook.
and I think there's one other, I can't remember his name, but GNII is that's the name of it. I think GNI Autos or something like that. That's the name of his. Go there, go there, let him scan it. He'll be able to explain to you a lot better than what this is. You just drove a car, tell me the valve body is bad. How do you know?
Okay,
So please, just still the same thing. Go to a proper person who is going to take time to scan it, and then we should be all good.
okay, okay.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. What about the oil issue? The oil issue that I talked about.
So see the oil. There's plenty places oil can leak from. Oil can leak from your timing cover. Oil can leak from your sump. Oil can leak from your rear mainsail. Oil can leak from your transmission sump. Oil can leak from your drive shaft seal. Oil can leak from your oil filter housing. Oil can leak from your valve cover gasket. Oil can leak from your oil pressure sensor. What is leaking? So that's what
Okay.
they're supposed. That's why you're there.
Was
Clean
it was
everything down. Tell me what is leaking.
they didn't actually check the oil issue. That one was checked around before I went there. The reason I went there
So
for is
the guys who check the oil issue for you should clean
because
the whole thing down. Wash everything. Okay. What do you say, sir?
he said it was a sump that they fixed, and they said it's from the sump, and they fixed the something, and they said it's not likely to leak again.
So, but it's still leaking. So what you
Yes.
now need to do is check if there's any oil traces up top. So the sump
O-
is at the bottom. Tell them to check from the top
Okay.
before they get
Okay.
to the sump. Find out if there's oil leak. If it's oil leaking, then it's coming from the top. So when I see oil leak, I look for the highest place I can find the oil leak, not from the lowest place. Because if it
Okay.
is from the lowest, there's no point. But if it's from the highest place, it would leak down. So if it's coming, most of the time you might have it from the valve cover gasket or the timing cover. So if you have it from there, you already know the highest place that you can see oil. And the
Okay.
lowest place is usually the sump. That's not a problem. So, but the highest place, if there's no oil leaks from the top, then you are sure it's the sump. But if there's oil leak from the top as well as the bottom, it is usually the one from the top that is leaking, not the one at the bottom.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, sir. So
So
I'm gonna
thank you.
look for the NII person on the platform.
Yes, yes. Message him and then book an appointment, let him check it, and then we'll go from there.
All right. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, boss. All right.
Very much. I don't know if there's anybody that has any question.
We can't hear you.
Give me a minute. All right. I don't know if there's anybody that has any question, any other question before we move on. I think that's the last. Mr. Abiodun, you're still raising your hand. Do you still have something to add or contribute before we move on to the conclusion session? Um, Okay, I'll just take that as the end of the session. So once again, I really appreciate everyone for joining in. You can click on the WhatsApp group, check the WhatsApp group, and join the community. We have car enthusiasts and people of like minds on the group where we can ask questions, make inquiries, and also connect to the community as well. But like I said, it's a respected environment and is guided as well. So let's be guided with whatever we send, and let's also be respectful with our words as well. Also, we're having this kind of webinars next week or next few weeks. We don't know what topic we might be treating, but then we'll be treating topics that our audience are actually looking to want to hear. So if you want to have access to these webinars that we host on Sundays like this, ensure you are subscribed to any of our platforms. If you you can get our updates on the webinar either on the WhatsApp group. Some of you came here through SMS. We do SMS blasts. So once we have your number, you always get updates on our webinars. You get them through SMS. And finally, you can get updates on our webinars through email. I know some of you come via email as well. So you get updates on the webinar via emails as well. So once we have your number, your email address, or you're on the WhatsApp group, you always get updates on all our webinar session as it comes. So I think that's that for today. Thank you very much for joining, Mr. Gbenga. I don't know if you have anything else to say.
No, that's it. That's it. Thank you everyone for coming
All right.
through.
We hope to see you next webinar. Take care.
All right. Thank you guys. All right. See you.